And good Monday morning, my friends. This week is going to be off the chain. How's that for a little
kind of crazy,
little fun, little dingling word? Off the chain. And not just because we finished Allison's birthday weekend. That's not why. It's because, well, today, for example, we have the Leland Whaley coming in. My kids broke into song because Molly met him when she was a baby. When I used to go on with him.
So cute.
And Will was like, I love that guy. And then Emmy started singing the song. So, like,
I'm really excited because I think Leland, you did the show. You've known him forever. I've only known him a few years. But it should be a really good discussion because he has a little different take. He has different background. I'm so curious to talk to him about redistricting. And I want to ask him kind of behind the scenes because, he used to work in Governor Riley's office. So like, what's the behind the scenes going on? Like when Kay Ivey puts out that statement, but Tuberville acted like it was like a shoo-in. And then you've got the legislature that's kind of like, who do we follow? What are we doing? So I think I'm curious his thoughts on the war and kind of where we are, and we will cover a lot. I know you wrote down a bunch of questions too.
Well, I Leland is such a good talker. There are some people, in my opinion, that you can just do this with the questions, and I kind of have some like really rapid fire. You're going to like them. You're going to like this. And then we're going to play we're going to make him play Would You Rather.
I kind of thought we should do a lightning round with Leland because he's like the
up top.
He's man bun mysterious,
Yeah.
You're like, do you really know Leland Whaley?
Yeah.
Let's just ask him
questions.
We're
going to ask him questions, and we're going to take the chance to, even though we know him, maybe people in our audience doesn't, we are actually going to have to do a little, who are you? Tell us about yourself, which I know is a shock to him and to his listeners, but we're going to need to dive in.
I just said man bun, a man.
You said bun mystery, and I love it. In addition to that, though, that's the 11 o'clock hour. Who knows how much time, but does it matter? Does it really matter? So we have that for this Monday. We have guests every day this week, some elected, some not, all interesting. And then next Monday, we also have a banger guest for you. You will not believe who's coming on. You just won't. You won't. You're going to have to wait till the middle of the week before we tell you, but you're not going to believe it. Then we have the news of the day today. And I have the word of the day, and everybody's going to know what this word is.
And you say that, but
you're setting the bar high.
Yeah, I mean, never underestimate me and JP to just not know what's going on.
Well, the journalist received a heavily blank version of the
redacted.
Official. There you go.
You looked at her phone.
Pam Bondi taught us that word.
I know. But see, I told you you'd know the word.
The journalist received an empty binder.
Redacted.
That had nothing in the middle. Just empty pages.
Hate that word.
Pam Bondi.
Redacted. Anyway, that's the word of the day. It's redacted.
You want a Gen Z word of the day?
I do. Wait, why? We look like that.
Huh?
Okay.
No, I was just trying to think.
Not a good one?
No, I'm trying to. I got several options, but I think I'll go with bet.
I love bet.
Oh, I use bet.
She loves bet. How am I going to use the word bet?
What does that mean? Does it mean like, hey, let's play a game?
This means yes, I'm down, or agreement. So, yeah, that's one of the words that a lot of the Gen Z words we kind of, or at least I kind of use to be funny, but some of them actually genuinely merge into my lexicon of vocabulary, and bet is one of them.
I love the word lexicon.
Lexicon.
What's a new word, guys, that we can invent for instead of wordsmith, because we like words around here? What's another word? Is it wordy? If you're a foodie, you love food.
Yeah.
A worder.
Worder? You're a worder? You want to do worder? Like we need
vocabber.
a Treehouse Gang word instead of wordsmith. That is old school.
Okay. I liked wordsmith.
I like wordsmith.
Because we're kind of, I mean, we're doing Penny University and we're going quilling.
I've got a whole list. I cannot wait until we get together after the show today. I'm so
this about
excited.
our-
Quilling and Penny University.
Do our listeners know what Penny University is?
I don't know what Penny University is.
Okay, guys.
Oh, you're so Gen Z.
Here's the deal. Coffee shops of old
Oh, we've talked about this. Okay.
used to coffee cost a penny, and it's where the philosophizers, not a real word. I was trying to Candace Owens it.
Philosophizers.
Philosophers,
The Velociraptors.
Yeah.
them too.
Used to go
The
there.
philosophers, the elected officials, leading lights, and just regulars who wanted to know what was going on and talk about the big issues of the day would go to the coffee shop, and they began to call them penny universities. And so I've been talking to a couple of girlfriends over the last couple of weeks, and they'll ask questions or they'll have ideas. And I said, what do you think about starting? We'd have to do this quarterly. And I do have an idea about a coffee shop. I haven't asked them yet, but maybe they're watching and they know I'm about to ask them. If we had gatherings where we brought in speakers, I already have a list of ideas of our speakers, Sinclair. And we did penny
we're
universities.
having speakers?
Well, we'll talk, but we also
like
can
that,
bring in
though.
speakers that take subject by subject, tell us about this, let us ask our questions so that we can have a modern day penny university.
Do boys get to come?
Boys can come. Boys
Okay.
absolutely come. It's for men and women. We'll have to probably do it at night so that everybody who wants to come can come.
Okay.
And if enough people want to come during the day, maybe we'll do an afternoon. Rotate through. I don't think we'll be able to do it before the summer's over. I think probably September is realistic, unless I asked the two girls I said I would ask first. Can you have a little steering committee, Penny University, and let's
Oh,
map
come up
it
with
out
the topics?
and just kind of like brainstorm?
Why is JP laughing?
And
That's
then
just the steering
September is
committee.
when we start Penny University in a coffee shop. So we're cool like they were. But our coffee's not going to cost $1. But it's to examine the ideas and to get to know them better. And then so that we understand them, we can go and impact our communities.
So topics would be like,
Islam.
I was thinking how to get into the state house.
Well, that's the number two
Still-
How
was
to find the
civics.
cafeteria.
Well,
Yeah,
civics
it does not
101.
exist.
Like,
Okay,
how do you
civics.
get in
Got it,
there?
got it.
So there's a wide range of topics because we get asked about a lot of different topics. Civics, including how to get involved and with whom.
Okay, I like this.
So it's a vast
cornucopia.
it's cornucopia of topics and ideas,
word,
and we're
JP.
just gonna do it. But we're gonna call it Penny University. Sometimes we bring in speakers, sometimes we are the speakers. We're gonna map it out, but that is coming. I cannot promise this is happening before the fall because I got a kid getting married and life is happening, and same for you, unless we decide we just want to do it. But quilling is kicking off Penny University because quilling is an old word that we love.
I can't remember. It's basically modern day tailgating for an election day. So we shall quill on May 19th. We just need to choose the location. I have a little screenshot of where we can go. I do. We need to
You
choose.
do?
Yes. And then I would like to line up some interviews with some elected officials. I don't know. I think we need to just put feathers in our caps. Isn't that what a quill? Like, yeah,
A
you
quill.
go quilling because you'd have to write down your vote,
Yeah, that's it.
right?
It's actually genius.
Okay.
Should we wear like derby hats, or are you just saying
I just am kind of kidding about the feather, but we do need some quills somewhere.
I've been waiting for my absentee ballot to come in. I put it in a week ago yesterday because I have the funniest joke that I'm gonna make and send to y'all when it comes in, but I can't. Like, I've thought about this joke the second I put it in, and I've been patiently waiting for it to come in so that I can.
Wait a
But-
second. What would this
Okay.
be?
I'm not telling you. I've literally checked my mailbox like twice a day since like
Jay?
So
I'm
excited.
waiting. It's gonna be because
What
it's so funny, but I can't.
What a good man you are.
What did you say? You said I can't make it there because I have to quill? Because you know you have to give an
Nice.
excuse.
No, I just said that I will be out of the state and count because they give you preset options. So I had to say I'm out because I'm now not in the district that I'm registered to vote in anymore. So, and I didn't want to go through the hoops and ladders to re-register yet. So I'll be voting in. Can I say what district it is?
Yeah, our district.
No. I'll
No.
be voting in District 20 technically. So that's actually the Mo Brooks Lomax race,
Oh.
which is like the most
Oh.
the most heated race in the state. It seems like right now.
Time out. What if, like in the J. Hovey Tom Whatley race, where it was decided by one vote? What if you're the one vote?
I'm the one vote.
JP. Okay.
But yeah, I thought about going through the hoops and ladders to re-registering to Shelby County, but I was like, that's the race right now. I don't want to vote in that race. So
Look at you. I hope Wes Allen isn't listening. Like,
Hey.
you don't have.
is that illegal? That's not illegal.
I don't think it's illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
Look, you're trying to cast your ballot and use your right as an American to do so. You can't help it if you don't live in the district and it can't get changed fast enough.
I just said that so frank, but I wonder if that is kind of frowned upon by like the the elected official or the West Allens and the others.
Well, I mean, your job is in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And so, and if we go quilling like we're planning on, then it's going to take, kind of the day, and you can't just run up to Huntsville. I think it's legit. It's a way better excuse than the year I had to vote absentee and I just had a beach trip I couldn't miss.
Then you got 2 ballots.
And then I got 2 ballots. That was.
You should have given me one. I would have let my Nana vote. She's in heaven.
Well, it was funny because it was right. I see what you did there. Nobody would ever notice.
I would have never known.
I'd be like, Nana, check. Yeah, that was right in the middle of like when local Alabama was doing all the election integrity stuff, and we were all over the ES&S machines, and I got 2 ballots. And so
you were people's favorite.
Yeah. Well, I texted John Merrill. I said, guess what? Got 2 ballots. And he said, ugh, of course you would.
I remember that.
Then I told him I was going to vote twice, and he said, don't do that. I'll have to have you arrested.
Thanks, John.
So I sent it back. Anyway, if you get 2 ballots, tell us.
Okay.
Report.
Seriously, you don't know what could happen. It's Alabama. Okay. So, I mean, that's a lot in 11 minutes to tell you that we're having Leland Whaley, that we're having phenomenal guests this week and next week, and it'll just continue. People you like, people that are interesting to talk to. A lot of good conversations will be had. We're going quilling. We're going to debut Penny University, and you will not miss it. Also, continue to get your subscriptions in for the newsletter. It is actively being worked on, and you'll get it. It's just a mystery. Is it this week or next? You don't know, but that's why you tune in every day. You don't know what's going to happen. Also, you don't know when that newsletter is going to come. But I can tell you, based on the newsletter and the website, you're going to die. Okay? There's a really brilliant mind working on it, and we're so grateful. Thanks, Allison.
Looks really good.
He's
those
done
young,
those young are so talented. Holy cow. So before we get to the montage, JP, could we take a tour around the Twix?
Yes, let me share my screen real quick.
Now you're just over there giggling.
While he looks that up, can I tell who's coming on tomorrow?
Yes.
Only because I think people are really going to want to tune in. It's going to be really interesting, and I'm just going to claim it. We're still working out details on time, but Steve Marshall's coming on tomorrow, and we have so many questions. I don't know if the Supreme Court, I think they're hoping for a decision from the court today. He will give us an update on
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That soon? That's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, I think it's like kind of an emergency.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
We've got some big things happening. And we can't really do anything in Montgomery until that decision comes down. And so I don't think that they would call this session. Like, you have to kind of work to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Leland can tell us more because he's been around the legislature a lot more. But I'm hoping that comes down, and then he can fill us in on what else will happen tomorrow when he comes on. So.
And Nate Carlson, you are coming on tomorrow too. Okay.
Nate Carlson,
we got you at
will be on
11
tomorrow.
He's running for Jabo's seat.
Well,
he and his wife own Caveat Coffee, and they own Real and Rosemary. And I think he played football at Alabama. So he's coming on.
I talked to him just about
He's a cool guy.
Of course,
but Steve Marshall's conversation about the latest is going to be very helpful. But I can't wait to talk about it just amongst ourselves today.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Do you know what that is? It's coffee talk.
Do you know about coffee talk?
No.
I know the accent.
I'm verklempt. I'm like totally verklempt.
On Saturday
And like
Night
Barbara
Live,
Streisand. Barbara Streisand.
it was Austin Powers. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Have y'all seen the video though of the guy that's in the gas station and he's just like screaming, "Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee?" And he has to get like escorted out of the gas station.
I'm sorry. Can you play that? And can that be something that's on our soundboard?
It may not be as funny as I think it is,
It's
but
coffee. Anybody
is-
want coffee?
it is one of the
Wait,
funniest.
why is he yelling though?
He's a like social media guy
Oh, okay.
that just like does stupid. And he brought a picture of coffee in the gas station and just literally just screamed over and over. And the guy's like, "You got to get out of here, man. Hold on."
Boonk gang.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Like just stupid stuff.
Yeah. Okay, here it is.
Hey, does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? I just made a fresh pot of coffee. Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? Does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee?
I forgot this video swears.
Wait, they're really.
You want coffee? I just made coffee. Does anybody?
Bye.
Wait a second.
Please, I'm sorry.
Apologize. We're not in the FCC anymore, but sorry
Yeah,
if
I
any
hope
kids were
so
kids
sorry.
aren't listening.
Anybody want coffee?
I just don't understand. Like, why'd they freak out? It was just coffee.
It's this guy. Open
Look, if you could just clip the first part, is anybody want coffee? That's my dream. Does anybody want coffee?
I guess he pulled out the whole thing from like the industrial size
I made a fresh
coffee
pot.
But the guy like
A bun pot.
the guy like escorts him out, and he's like, "I just want to know if anybody wants coffee, so you gotta get out of here, man."
Oh.
Why are these people not as amused? I'm kidding. I understand why they're not amused. All right. So let's take a tour around Twix
Okay,
quick.
I know it's in the montage, but it's on the top of the news trending, and it is really funny.
Oh, he is crazy. I
Is there a
watched
video?
this.
Yes,
I
there
watched
is,
it.
and the video is hilarious.
I haven't seen the video.
Here,
He
I'll
is
just-
cuckoo for
Okay.
Cocoa
about
Puffs.
whether Trump is the
all right, let's just
Where
play the video.
are they?
Let's just play the video. This is a interview with Tucker Carlson in the New York Times.
You've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in
Correct.
ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it.
Okay, Tucker.
That's just so funny.
Okay. You know me. I'm going to give him. Do you know how many things come out of my mouth on a daily basis that I don't really know I say?
Yeah.
Think about it. We're on live for 2 hours. But that's kind of a big statement to forget you just threw out there.
Well, like I said, I'm not giving him an excuse, but what I think he was thinking, he probably thought that they were accusing him of making a blanket statement that Trump was the Antichrist, and probably knowing Tucker in the moment, he was just in that I'm just asking questions mode, and he didn't think he was making a declarative statement. But him saying that the words could
Never
this be the Antichrist never passed my lips, and then they played him saying, I don't know, could this be the Antichrist? And the most Tucker Carlson that's just funny. But that's probably why he thought that. Probably from the New York Times, he's being accused of making a statement, and probably in his monologue, he was just like in a silly, goofy, I'm just asking questions, Tucker Carlson mode.
What do you guys think about that in listener land? I think he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think he's spiraling. He is deconstructing, and the Tucker we knew is gone. I'm not sure what's going on. I really am not. But at least if that comes out of your mouth and she confronts you with what you said exactly, just a little bit say, you know what? I wasn't even thinking. Like acknowledge that came out of your mouth because it's from your own show. But I don't understand what's going on with him right now. I don't.
I don't know what you put in the montage, but did you get where he talks about that Trump puts spells on people?
That's all that.
Well, I mean, I don't think Trump puts actual spells, but I think that's probably correct. Like, there's something about Trump that people in his inners. I know what it is. It's because Trump lashes out on people that are disloyal. So that's probably the spell that makes people loyal. But yeah.
Well, did you see
Fair.
the guy Caputo? Does that sound familiar? Okay, if this is in the montage, we can save it.
I don't think it is.
But somebody that Tim Burchett just popped up on my X. So good. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh, here. Dang it, I didn't bookmark it.
Here's a
But
tweet
it's
about it.
Caputo. No, it's a guy that used to work for Trump who got cancer, and he says,
Oh, I saw that.
he says Tucker told him years ago that people around him were getting sick or something. I'll find it, and then he ends up with cancer, and they're basically saying that Trump put a spell on him to give him cancer.
Well, see, this is the problem because I literally just now said I don't think it's an actual spell, and then you go to Tucker's quote in the first sentences. I think it's probably literally is a spell.
Yeah, to weaken people around him. I'm going to find this because it's crazy.
I did see that, and I couldn't like comprehend what he was trying to say. And then I got to the part, especially about cancer, like people are getting sick, and then he has cancer, and I'm like, okay, this is the two Legos on the table in front of somebody, and they just put the two Legos together and made an illogical conclusion, but they made a conclusion nonetheless. And I was befuddled by the comment this man was making.
Do you want me to read it? I found it.
Yeah.
This is the post from Michael Caputo. Tucker is my friend for 30 years. We disagree often. I don't care. After my cancer treatments, deaf and sick and gutted, I was sure I was dying in 2021. We had moved to Florida, and Tucker made time to join me for dinner. That was the first time I heard him say it in that noisy island bar. People around Trump keep getting hurt, Caputo, really hurt. He wasn't talking about the president. He was talking about me. Yeah, I got the cancer. The New York Times interview is intense stuff for me to watch now. Man.
I think regardless, whether it's Tucker or anybody else or even us, and I'm listening to something about this right now, so I got to finish it before I can tell you all about it. But we're hearing in conversation, especially online, a lot of framing and getting us whipped up and then conclusions without instead doing what we used to do. We frame it, but we ask the question, what's true here? And then what's logical? And then what's the conclusion? We frame and then we conclude, and we've left out that middle part. And so many things are more confusing than they actually should be. Like, that's confusing. What does he mean? I need more. Give me details. But I think that's what we're seeing happening with Tucker. He's framing things and then he's concluding.
So it's like Michael Caputo had cancer and he knew Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean Donald Trump gave him cancer.
Exactly. There's a whole chunk left out of the middle of that conversation.
Kind of think that's happening on an Alabama state level right now too.
That's good. That's good.
Anywho, we'll be back.
We are joined by election integrity expert, Dr. Douglas Frank. We're thrilled to have him back with us. This time, we have a little more time for him to lay out just exactly what's going on, and what he has to share will blow your mind. Welcome.
Great to be with you ladies again. That was a fun interview last time, so I'm glad to be back.
It was fun. And now we have more time to dig in. When you left last time, we both looked at each other and were like, oh my word, because For years, we've been told that Alabama is the gold standard in election integrity. And apparently we have some things we can work on.
Every state says they're the gold standard. It's like I think all the secretaries of states get together in some conference and say, let's all agree we're all the gold standard or something like that.
Yeah. Well, tell
Seems like it.
us a little bit about yourself before we really get into some of the data and the things that you've discovered. How did you get started in this? What is your background?
Sure. I'm a physicist. I was in the lab for 40 years, basically. And when I came out of the lab, I was like, what happened to my country? And what really brought me out was COVID. It was the COVID pandemic. I was teaching at a special school for high IQ kids. And one of my kids was a Chinese exchange student from Wuhan. And in November of 2019, I was teaching differential equations class, and he said, Dr. Frank, can we learn how to model epidemics? And so I began teaching how to model epidemics in December of 2019. And then the Wuhan epidemic took off and we modeled it. And then I was modeling it in America. So everybody got to know me across the country because of my COVID modeling. I was modeling every country, every county in the country, and 30 countries. And I had like 150,000 people coming to my websites every week to how many people are going to die this week in our county. I mean, it seems morbid, but it's all mathematical. Epidemics are mathematical things. And so that kind of brought me into the public eye. I was in the public eye once before because I was nominated for a Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1990 for one of my discoveries that got on the cover of Science and Nature and things like that. So
What did you discover?
Yeah. You can't leave us hanging
Yeah,
like that.
I didn't
just
need to do that to you. Sorry
casually.
about that. Well, I figured out a way to make three-dimensional images of molecules. And it's
Okay.
the first time anybody had done that. And so it looks cool. It's, so it looks good on covers of magazines and brought me a lot of attention. For about a year, I was traveling the world teaching people how I figured that out. And then I left academics in 1996 because it was too political for me. It was disgusting to me. I didn't like it.
You were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, truly.
In 1996, we thought the world was great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I was in Cincinnati too, and Mark Twain wrote about Cincinnati. He said, when the end of the world comes, he wants to be in Cincinnati because everything happens there 10 years later.
it's true. I had family who lived in Cincinnati. That's a great place.
Oh, yeah. And it was a great place for me to raise my kids and everything. And I'm still out there in the country. We moved further out in the country now. So I have a lab out there. That's where I'd be right now, being a physicist out in the country, except that then the election happened and Mr. Lindell discovered me and then Mr. Trump. And so it's like now I've been thrust into this debate on elections. And I guess one of the next big thing was that when Pennsylvania did their audit, Doug Mastriano asked for an audit at the end of November of 2020. I was brought in as one of the 6 people that did their state audit because I'm a numbers guy, and they knew I was a numbers guy because they'd seen my COVID stuff. So that's really what thrust me in. Then Mr. Lindell discovered he made a documentary about me called Scientific Proof. It was his second documentary. And then Trump featured me at his first rally after he was out of office in Wellington, Ohio. So suddenly tens of millions of people knew who I was, and everybody was saying, Dr. Frank, come help us, come help us. And here I am. Although in those days, we thought it was just going to be a 6-month job.
Yeah.
All we have to do is show everybody what's going on, and everybody's going to go, oh, no, we have a problem. I got to fix it. That's what we thought. And I spent most of 2021 meeting with secretaries of states, AGs, hacking into their elections right in front of their faces, showing them that they were not the gold standard they thought they were. And it was quite a eye-opener for me. I mean, when I'm a scientist, to me, you set up an experiment, you get the evidence, you present the evidence, and everybody goes, okay, now we do this. I was just assuming if I show everybody the evidence, that they would react accordingly.
Why don't they react accordingly?
I think there are multiple reinforcements of the current system. The first one is the oldest story ever. Since when does government relinquish power to the people? Governments centralize power. And right now in our country, the elections in every state are centrally controlled. They've been steadily, incrementally over about the last 25 years, just become centralized. Your own local clerks don't control or do anything anymore. They think they do, but they don't. And so that's a strong motivation. Also, it centralizes the outcomes of your elections. I said electrons. You put me in science mode there for a minute, and so.
Hi, welcome back. The things we talk about in halftime, like kids coming home from college, which you're really glad they're here. But then you also forget what a charmed life they lead while at college.
Like, Mom, can you go buy those special sheets for me? I just was so used to them.
They're so soft. Yeah. But we're glad they're home. And we're going to put them to work.
I will say, I do, like this weekend, all the kids were in one place. We were at the lake house, but all the kids were there. And that's such a rarity. And I can remember I just wanted to escape. Like I would be like, I got to go to the grocery store, like any reason to kind of get out of the house. Mm-hmm. And now you just want them all home.
Oh, it's
sad.
It's delightful. And you like look in the driveway and all the cars are there and your house is loud. And if you're at the water, everybody's together. It's delightful. Nice. So delightful. Moms, if you have young kids, dads, if you have young kids, I promise it feels like 5 minutes from bringing them home to the hospital to college graduation. 5 minutes. It goes by fast. Soak up every day. Every day. Soak it up. Even the days we were like, those days too, right?
Yeah, it's hard. The days are so long, but then they're just gone. They're so gone and grown up.
I know. It's crazy.
And you're like, who am I? What's my purpose in life? Mm-hmm. Yeah, just reach out. We'll walk you through it.
Yeah, we're real ladies. Okay. You guys ready for the montage? JP, you ready for the montage? All right, we're ready. Let's go.
And for news.
Operation Epic Fury. Right now, U.S. forces are helping ships that are trapped in the Strait of Hormuz as part of what the president has dubbed Project Freedom.
So it comes as a second UK ship has reported they were attacked in the critical waterway.
We've had confirmation from the South African Health Department that a British man, a British tourist, is being treated in hospital in South Africa following this outbreak of hantavirus on board this cruise ship, which had been travelling across the Atlantic Ocean.
What this decision says is that it values partisan politics over discrimination. It's really, 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 it takes us back. And so to the extent that it's inviting red states to totally take away all the Democratic seats and be totally red.
On a new DOJ report alleging the Biden administration targeted Christians for investigations and prosecutions.
Released 14 findings that paint a picture of the Biden presidency that went beyond disagreement and moved to punishing Christians who held conservative religious beliefs in conflict with the administration's pro-choice gender ideology agenda.
You've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. You said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well, who knows?
It's funny the second time, too.
Oh, okay, Tucker.
It all went downhill when he got rid of the bow tie.
Oh, that's a good catch.
It just slowly... So sad. He was so cute. He looked like a little Ole Miss fraternity boy.
He was so good. Even though he grew up in California and you don't really think people are going to wear bow ties in California, the bow tie was epic.
And then he just went
It's the bow tie. It's the bow tie. It's something happened. Don't know what happened.
I don't know. Can we talk about, I want to be sure we get to it because I have a feeling with, what's his name?
His name's Leland.
Kind of a big deal. Better remember his name. With Leland, we'll talk about Iran and kind of what's going over there, Terry Sewell. Oh, but can we talk about the Biden DOJ going after Christians and it finally being out there? Like, we all knew it, because once Amy Beth and I realized we were domestic terrorists for like not wanting school officials to trans our kids, I was like, we're living in a weird world.
It's true.
And parents were getting arrested at school board meetings for speaking out. But still, even on the right, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, even on the right, people were like, oh, no, it's just a bad day. Oh, come on. No, they just want to be seen and heard. Turn the other cheek. What? We really were about to go to re-education camp.
Mm-hmm.
So
we decided we were probably in the same like bunkhouse.
It just seems like it's not that funny now that we know it was real.
My favorite was that we learned, because we lived it, what gaslighting was.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably where the overuse came from. But to me, that was the descriptor in Merriam-Webster of gaslighting and Christians, specifically parents of kids in school. Oh, that was crazy. You're out of your mind. He would never say stuff like that. You're making it up. But it was around the time when several things were odd and we were told they were made up as well, like COVID, for example. But we knew that they thought of us as cult members. We knew that they dismissed us and disregarded us. They knew we hated who we were and what we stood for, because we understand, and y'all do too, that that's the goal of communism, is to separate kids from their families and to create chaos. And in communism, if you're going to seize the means of production, who are you going to seize? You're going to seize the children and turn classrooms into re-education camps, so that by the time the kids are done, they hate their parents just as much as the government already hates their parents. But oh no, we were crazy.
So here's my question. Was it, or maybe it's twofold. Was it that we have to get rid of the Christians and the families, or was it we have to protect these DEI categories or whatever it was? Like, or was it both?
I think both. Do you think both? I think it's both. And
I think yes, but I kind of am at the point where it's really not so much, because we watch the left. They are so quick to turn on each other if they have to. So I really think the end goal is to totally take out and decolonize, de-Westernize, de-Christianize the West and America. And that's where you have to start. I would have thought maybe a year ago that it was more about, human rights for these groups. But I think that's the means to the end. And the end is to get rid of all of us.
Amen. I'm a geek. I was listening to some things on history this weekend. That is absolutely the goal. Because if you start with our worldview, it is God, the Bible, human flourishing. If you start with their worldview, it's godlessness, get rid of anybody who stands in our way, evil. And so I think you're absolutely right. The goal is to completely eliminate. The goal of education is to create workers, obedient little apparatchiks, to bring back a word we used to like to use. And that's the goal. And we're in the way. We're absolutely in the way. So I don't know. But those are good questions. It's wow.
Do you think it goes away with, I don't know how the next election will go. I don't know if we will have a Republican or Democrat in office. Do you think that, are we just staying alive long enough for Donald Trump to stay in office and then we're actually done? I'm serious. It's like we're barely treading water right now. And if Republican doesn't win, and I hate to say Republican, whatever, if someone that doesn't value life or value Western civilization, if we get another Biden, Barack Obama in, is that it? Is that game over?
it makes life a lot harder. Because you think about the church worked hand in hand with the government during COVID with Rick Warren and Francis Collins and do your part, blah, 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 vomiting communist talking points. And so it made it weird that people like us were like, no, actually, it's our responsibility to be involved in our communities. Like, we don't get to just lazily soak all of it in and have zero responsibility. And so it makes it a lot harder if we don't get another good leader in. And it doesn't have to do with the conversation, but what I would love to talk about amongst ourselves later this week is Chris and I started talking based on your conversation about what's next after Trump. DeSantis, Vance, or Rubio in the future. That's what you said made me think about.
Would that conversation be who we want or who we think it will be?
Who we want, we can do both. Who we want, who we think it'll be, and who's going to be the strongest moving forward to get the most done. Regardless of, because you guess what? A couple of them you got guys that are like, oh, they're really nice and sweet. And others you're like, DeSantis doesn't get along with people, but he's really effective. Anywho, I'm just throwing that out there for later in the week.
Got it.
But I like your questions. I think it makes it harder after Trump, but it's also why we have to stay involved, which is why we exist.
Well, here's the details from the report the DOJ put out called Eradicating Anti-Christian Bias Within the Federal Government. 200 pages, contains over 300 pages of exhibits from the task force. And here's a crazy quote. So the report says the Biden DOJ requested an average sentence of 26.8 months for pro-life defendants compared to 12.3 months for pro-choice defendants. Pro-life defendants were ultimately sentenced to an average of 14 months, while pro-abortion defendants were sentenced to an average of 3 months.
What was her name? Beverly. Come on, the pro-life. Beverly Johnson. Oh, y'all know she went to prison.
Oh,
Beverly.
That lady.
Beverly.
She went to prison.
Yes.
The grandmother?
No. Come on.
Okay, then I don't know.
She was
You talking about Bevelyn Williams?
Oh, Bevelyn.
Bevelyn.
Yes.
Williams.
She was sentenced to 41 months in federal prison.
4. Please read that.
She was convicted of violating the FACE Act. Prosecutors stated she, along with others, blocked the entrance to a Planned Parenthood clinic in Manhattan and threatened patients and staff, is what she claimed, and used force.
That right there, y'all, that is exactly, you know what she was doing? She was standing outside talking to people as they went in. I mean, if you've watched her and kept up with her, she's not, the street preacher that yells at you and says, you're going to hell, which you may be, but there's a better way to deliver that news. She just is, but they took that and they twisted it and made it sound like she was some violent protester. And all you need, if you have the entire DOJ and the justice system that are on notice, hey, this is what we're doing. We're taking these people down so that we can shut them up. Because who wants to go spend 41 months in prison? No one. So what are you going to do next time you think, oh, we're going to go to Planned Parenthood and just stand out front and say, Jesus loves you? We might end up in jail. What is a better deterrent? And gosh, I remember her coming out of prison and like seeing her baby and her husband. It was the most moving thing. And she went and she served. But they were targeting Christians. They were targeting pro-life. They were targeting everyone that disagreed with them. And we were told we're crazy. It's just the law.
Well, and think about it. 100 pro-life and crisis pregnancy centers had been vandalized. They had had theft. Their buildings had like horrible things written on it. The people were targeted. But that's just nothing to see here, guys.
That's okay.
Nothing. We want to go murder without anybody seeing it. So leave us alone. It's unbelievable what they did. Now, what I would love is if we had tort reform in this country.
What is tort reform?
Tort reform is basically, let me ask Siri for a very simple definition. Hey, Siri. What is tort reform? It would mean tort reform consists of changes in the civil justice system in common law countries that aim to reduce the ability of plaintiffs to bring tort litigation or to reduce damages that they can receive.
What is tort litigation, Amy Beth?
Well, I don't know. Hey, Siri.
Mm-hmm.
What is tort litigation? So it would mean that the people who brought the suits would actually have to receive justice or the money that for example, pro-lifers had to pay for their judgments against them, even though they didn't do anything wrong. It's actually the people who brought the suit would have to pay for it.
So you better
because
be
they
sure.
lost.
Yeah.
I am for that. That would also make people stop before they decided that they would bring this huge, they would go after so much money, for example, against Christians. But it would just be justice and fairness. It would just turn the tables. You want $100 million? Okay, well, fine. If they get it, that's great. But you're going to have to turn around and pay it back if you lose. It's a great idea. We need tort reform in the country, by the way. Just saying.
So what do you do? What's the answer to this? Obviously, we have a little bit of a reprieve, somewhat. There's still grandmothers in jail. Has she gotten out of prison yet? The January 6th grandmother?
I think she's still in there. I think they were trying to get her out like 3 weeks ago, but they had put her in solitary confinement.
JP, are you finding anything? Because I know Trump spoke about it recently, but I don't know if she actually got out.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of a reprieve in the at least obvious attack on Christians, but globally, that is not the case. Globally, it is still just pressing down from every angle, and I don't think that's going to let up. What's the answer for that, though? Is it there's several ways you can deal with it. What's the right answer?
As far as, tell me more what you mean.
As Christians, what do we do? We know they're after us. We know they want to take us out. So are you just more strategic in how you kind of rage against the machine and buck against the system? Do you keep going to Planned Parenthood and standing in and saying, if you arrest me, you arrest me? You know, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Do you change your tactic? Do you change your strategy?
I don't think you would change. You may change tactics, but if the strategy is the same, which is to save lives, then you may be more strategic. But I think the other part of it is, and pro-lifers are doing this right now, and parents started to do this even like at school board meetings and the whole trans situation, is document. When you're out there and they start threatening you, record it. If you see girls who've been maimed by abortion, document it as they come out the back door. So that's one of the things I know in advocacy that they want you to do is record what you see, because if the lawsuits come, here's your evidence.
Yeah.
That's one way we can help ourselves. I do think you have to be strategic, but their point is to make us go away. And it's a little bit like terrorism. They expect for you to back down first. And in the face of that, you can't. And so in a way, I think it would make us stronger and braver to go, okay, well, I see what you're trying to do. I'm not going to back down. In fact, I'm going to do this, this, and this instead. But that's where you have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what can we do? And I think, for example, White Rose Resistance does a good job, like the documentaries that they put out or the new one that they have coming, getting out and speaking, really staying front and center of the arguments that are made against pro-lifers or in support of abortion, understanding them, being able to defend them, and really talk it out and keep it in the public eye. Because one of the things that they say is they want someday to make abortion unthinkable. And how do you do that? By telling people what it actually is. And that's the part that can't stop. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think we also need numbers. I think it's going to take a lot of people getting off the sidelines. A lot of people that believe like us, but it always kills me because people will say, well, I can't really talk about that because of my job. or I can't really talk about that because of my family, or I can't really talk about that because I'm part of this, this, and this. Okay, well, we all have things that would prohibit us from talking about these things if we wanted them to. Like, we get on here 2 hours a day and say all the things, and so many people come up to us and be like, thank you so much for what you do, which, trust me, we appreciate more than you know, because it's not easy. But I'm also like, you can do it too. You can do it at the dinner table. You can do it at a work function. You can do it at church, probably the best place to do it. But people are so unwilling to put it themselves out there. And everybody is in a different situation. I get it. But there's always a way that you can push back and advance the cause to protect us. But we need more people.
Amen to that. Boy, do we ever.
Hence Penny University and the Gen Zers that we're trying to, which, by the way, JP, I got so much good feedback about Caitlin, your op-eds. Like, I am so hopeful in the midst of this, talking about, yeah, we can do all these things, but we got to have y'all backing us up.
That's right.
And helping along. Do you feel like it's shifting? Do you feel the pressure, or do you think Gen Z is kind of flying under the radar in terms of the attacks? Like,
I think, well, overall, Gen Z is still, I would say, leaning left, unfortunately. But I think the generation that is having the most surge in the right direction is Gen Z. There was one report that Gen Z, in terms of proportion, is going to church more than every generation before them, and more are going back to church. So I think, even though overall in the grand scheme, Gen Z still may be leaning towards, the left in the wrong direction, but I think Gen Z is the generation that is going most back to Christ, most back to church. So, and overall, in terms of the pressure, Gen Z is the most real generation, I think, from the sense of, like, we don't like fluff, we don't like fake, we don't like, like, we're just going to be real. So I think overall, Gen Z would be the generation that would be bucking the system the most. Maybe they'd be a bit more savvy because of social media and others to not be putting yourself in, like, I think we're smart to not be reckless with it. But overall, I think we're also the generation that is not going to sugarcoat in the face of threats like that. So I'm optimistic.
I guess I'm curious, and I'm not being dramatic. I think, like, when Amy Beth and I were doing a lot with I call it kiddie porn. Okay, it's not kiddie porn, but the tranny books that, is everybody's ears just perked up. The transgender books that were in the children's library, when Amy Beth and I were doing that. And then when Local was hosting all the Title IX stuff, we traveled the state with Steve Marshall and just all of the protesters. Like, we definitely felt like at any given moment we could be either harmed or maybe not carted off, but we felt like we were being watched. Does Gen Z feel that way? Or do you feel like they're still thinking they have y'all? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are kind of free, because I think they can win y'all over.
Yeah, I think that's true. Overall, though, I do think most of Gen Z, I can't quite put my finger on what it is exactly, but I think our generation, even with that, would be the ones that would not crumble. I think we maybe have a greater sense of the eternal, unfortunately, because of these, and we've gone through the superficial, and I think that's what's causing us to come back to the eternal and what's true. It's like, okay, well, even in the most extremes, like, if you kill me, then, like, there's a life after this, and that's I'm living for the past. That's why I think it's the most of the generation going towards that way of thinking. We still got work to do, but I think we're waking up.
Love it. Young men in your generation are definitely wide awake.
It's encouraging. Yeah. Y'all, we're going to take a break, and we will be back with Leland Whaley.
Because I was using.
No one blames you.
You want to go back to simpler times. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I since I was a boy, I read Wrinkle in Time when I was in 3rd grade. And ever since then, I've wanted to have my own physics lab in the country. I do. And that's where I'd be. But except my country went away. And so I have to, I'm a patriot. I have to fight for my country. You can't, there are people dying for the freedoms we have. And I think it's our civic duty to step up and do our job. I mean, think about it. All these years I got to get government funding and scholarships to do all this great science work. You know, it's like I've a blessed life. So it's my tour of duty, my turn to help.
Before we dig into Alabama numbers and kind of what you're finding here, give us an overview, because you travel the country.
Yes.
You meet with lots of different groups in different states. Nationally, what are you seeing? Are we trending in the right direction? Are we making headway on a national scale? And then let's drill down and talk about what's going on in Alabama.
I think the first principle people need to understand is that there isn't one legislature in this country that wants election reform. There isn't one. Every single one is going the opposite direction. And so, like, for example, when I'm in Oregon, everybody says, oh, it's those evil Democrats. But here I am in Alabama, and you guys are like super red. And yet your legislature is trying to pass laws to make it even harder to audit your elections. What's going on here? And you would think that in the reddest legislatures or reddest states, they would want to fix their elections. But you have a bill right now before your legislature trying to make it even harder for people to have access to your voter rolls. And you're already the second least transparent state in the country in terms of your elections. So it's like that's an eye-opener to people. Everybody wants to think that, oh, sure, certainly our legislature, this is a red state, so certainly they'll want to fix it. And no, it doesn't work that way. That's a big mind change for people to recognize that.
Are you speaking about the bill to reduce fees?
Yes.
Okay, how does that make it more difficult?
So the bill was, as it was originally proposed, was going to take information out. So they were saying, we're going to make it cheaper, but we're going to give you, it took out the critical information. And you're already not giving the, you know, for example, I've been working with your teams here. I just came from Mobile and I came from Autauga, and they're complaining, Dr. Frank, this is really hard. And it is, because in other states, they give you tons more information than you get here. And you have to pay for it. And it's limited already, and they wanted to limit it even more. It should be exactly the opposite. If you go to Ohio, for example, or go on their Ohio website, Secretary of State website, just click. You can download it for free. Go to Florida, click, download it for free. Way more information for free. But in your state, you have to pay exorbitant fees for less information, and they wanted to make that even less information.
So is it because it's back to what you said at the beginning? You've presented the evidence, they ignore it, it's centralized, it's layered. I mean, is it all of those things, or is there something that's specific to Alabama in addition to, we see that they're not transparent, we've experienced that.
Yeah.
Like, what else are we missing?
I think the main thing we're missing is that people have become conditioned into waiting for somebody else to fix the problems. You know, you're too young, you don't remember, you ladies, but when I was a boy, we ran our own elections. The PTA moms walked the precincts, and the parties, the Republican and Democrat representative in every precinct, took the precinct book. And every 2 years, every door was knocked on, making sure that the books and the precincts were up to date. Since about 2002, we've just steadily lost our role as citizens. Now we wait for other people to fix our problems rather than us. We wait for other people to teach our children. We wait for other people to run our elections. We wait for other people to run our government. But America's an experiment in self-government. It's supposed to be us doing these things. How's it working out when we're letting other people teach our kids? How's it working out when we're letting other people run our government? Plato said the penalty for refusing to get involved in politics is you end up being governed by your inferiors. And here we are. You pick a random person off the street, they'd probably be better governor than the one you got. Okay. I mean, it's a bad situation.
Right.
So really, I think that's the fundamental problem, is that we the people, and this is a good thing for Alabama, but we the people have forgotten that it's our country, that we're supposed to be doing stuff. Now, in your state, you are full of people who have really good, solid values. That is refreshing when I'm here in Alabama. But because of that, you're more trusting. And because of that, you know, when I walk into a county and say, hey, your elections are all corrupted, they look at me like, No, our clerk is great. We love her. We go to church with her. Our kids go to school together. It's like it's
That
like
couldn't possibly happen.
couldn't possibly happen here because we're great people, right? I mean, and I get that. But what they don't understand is the problem isn't your people. The problem is that they are subservient to a system that's being imposed on you. So, for example, if you were to let's say you move into a county here. We're in Shelby, I think, right now. Let's say you walk into, I know the country by counties. Let's say you walk into a county and you say, hey, I want to get on the voter rolls. I want to register. The clerk doesn't bring out the precinct book and add you to the rolls. She logs into the state central system and adds you to the rolls. Oh, want to delete somebody from the rolls? She doesn't delete you. She logs into the state central system and deletes you from the system. She's not in control of that system. And guess where that file is? Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, so your rolls are not even here, and your clerk is not even here. It's not like she has a copy of the rolls. And so one of the things that I show in my talks, and by the way, I'm speaking tonight in Tuscaloosa, I think it is. Yeah. And I'll show a lot of this information, is if you were to take a copy of your voter rolls today, and then a week from now take another copy of your voter rolls, and compare the two, there'd be a whole bunch of names that were added and removed that your clerk didn't add and remove. Well, who did that? The state does that, and your clerk doesn't even know, though, because the numbers are similar, and so it looks to the clerk like this just kind of going along, and she's adding and removing a few over time, but she doesn't realize that it's actually going like this, and I have the copies of the rolls, so I can show them the snapshots over time, and they're like, what? And so they don't know that's happening, and so I show that.
So the state, but the what is making the state remove them without going through the registrars?
Good question. So it used to be Eric. I think recently you've
Yeah.
separated from Eric, but you now have Avid. Yeah. And it's basically the same thing. I could show you in your own data. You're doing the same thing as you always did. You just changed the name for political reasons.
Is that, I mean, but isn't that what you want? You want to be checking against other states' records and removing accordingly?
So it sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Hello, welcome back. How are you guys? We are with the man, the myth, the legend.
What?
Yes.
Myth.
The
myth.
actually,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
We're with Leland, Whaley, and when the children's all grown folk now.
Yeah.
When I told them that you were coming on, they either broke into song.
Your kids?
My kids, my grown.
They're singing the song.
Children. They sang
Leland
the
live
song.
on the radio.
They sang the song.
Leland live on the radio.
Or they said, I love that guy.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Who did
your
that?
kids kind of grew up around me in a way.
Yeah, they
Amy
did.
Beth was on our show 16 years. You believe it's been that long?
No.
When we started the show, Amy
Y'all
Beth would
are
come on with
old.
us on Fridays. And it was our Friday to just quit being so serious. And we had the best time. In fact, I've got highlight reels of those old shows if you ever want it.
Do you
with
really?
You, yeah, with you. Because, you know, we were
No.
trying to grow the show back then. And I would keep all that stuff. And somewhere along the way, I put together, some producer wanted to syndicate us, and I was going to drag you into it. But then it fell apart. And because there's
As most things
a
in
lot of
radio
people
do.
think there's all this money in it, but there's really not. It's it's local markets are where the money is right now. And then some if you hit in podcasting and become successful like you guys.
Oh.
But I mean, it's so the deal wasn't there. And I don't know if you remember that, but I put together this reel of you and me and AJ, and I was going to say, you got to come along with us now, but then it blew up. And then she quit us, and I didn't hear from her
Well,
for 10 years.
Why'd you quit?
Because you moved stations
That's
and
right.
you
We
moved
changed.
time frames because
Yep.
you said, come with us.
Right. I joined a cult for
You did join a cult, and it's fine.
3 years.
But I cut
had
my
matching
teeth.
PJs.
I learned all the things.
Yeah.
Do you remember we would do what's in my purse?
Yes.
And I had the bedazzled
Yes.
microphone.
I do.
Remember that day I had 2
I remember.
cheeseburgers?
I also
Like it-
remember when your kids did
listen
something
and-
and got 911 called on you.
You remember that, don't you?
Yes, I do. We got old. We could tell old stories.
Wait a second. You
Really?
had 2 cheeseburgers in your purse and
Well, my
Was
boy
it like
was
DHR was coming?
Well, basically,
Kids, man.
yeah. So I guess I had an event because they wanted me to do things, and they would call because everybody knew Leland and they listened to Leland, and so I was out getting something for an event, and I'm like, yeah. And no, I'm at Ann Taylor buying a suit because that's where we go still.
Yep.
And they called, and the kids called, and they're like, "Hey, Mom, can you take the phone call?" And I'm like, "I'm with your grandmother. What do you mean?" They're like, "No, the police want to talk to you."
This happened.
And I'm like, "Hello." No, but you know why I got out of it? I said, "Hey, this is Amy Beth." And they're like, "Are you the mom?" And I'm like, "I am the mom. I just ran up to Ann Taylor right quick." And I said, "I'll be right back." Like, I'm 8 minutes away. It was the first day I could leave because Emmy was of age, but Emmy didn't answer the door. Wesley answered the door, but it was Molly who was playing with the phone and calling 911 and hanging up.
Decided to dial 911.
And so
and they thought there was an emergency.
They thought there was an emergency.
Yep.
There's no parent. And
Yep.
then I said, "Hey, do you by any chance listen to the radio?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I do." And you probably
get out
forgot
of
about
it?
this.
Stop
And I
it.
said, "I'm Amy Beth. Like, I'm on with
Yeah.
Leland on Friday." And they go, "Oh, no problem.
Stop.
Okay, but I
True story, yeah.
promise."
You use it if you need
Quick
it.
thinking.
It's so funny how we're friends differently. Like I know Allison separately from way back when our kids were in school together, and then more
Ish.
recently, and then I've known Amy Beth, and then you guys have a show, and I just think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're it's kind of how the turns have tabled because you're on our show.
This is crazy.
Yeah, and y'all have guested
Sucker.
for, huh?
You're a sucker. You came
Well,
on our show.
No, I do anything for you guys.
Yeah, and we have hosted your show a few times,
We
which
have.
by
You
the
have?
way, we're at different times now. So if you need us, we can come back.
Can you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
Happily.
I'm leaving on a vacation this summer part of it's vacation, but we're going out west again to do the
Ooh.
hippies and the cowboys and the buffalo and the
It's that
and so some of that'll be vacation. I'd love for you guys to be on. If
Say
that's
less.
possible.
say
Are you doing a dude ranch?
less.
No, because I'm not like that. But
Okay.
You do go to the rodeo.
yes, I'm going to the Cheyenne Rodeo again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to a hippie bluegrass festival.
Oh,
Where
that's
you go and
fun.
pick with all the people.
Yeah, we're gonna pick and grin or whatever those people do. They call it bluegrass, but it's really not. I imagine there's a lot of herb involved in the air on the scene, but I just want to see some bands that.
Oh,
It's a beautiful setting. It's in Telluride, Colorado,
Oh, that's a beautiful place.
and then I've got some natural stuff we want to see. I mean, it's just gonna be a fun time.
if there's things in the air, does that make it not bluegrass?
No,
or-
it's green grass.
Oh,
That's grass.
it's weedy grass.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I was a college kid, we decided to go camping at a bluegrass festival. Me and all my little buddies in college, and they were kind of bandish guys too, and had crazy long hair. And so we go to this old time bluegrass festival, pitched the tent, made steaks. We brought our instruments, and we're picking in a little picking circle, is what they call it. These old timers came up and said, "Fellas, what's the name of your group?" We didn't have a name of the group. And one of our buddies was just joking that all these people that follow the bluegrass festivals around are like the deadheads. We were calling them all grassheads. And so he looked at the old man and he said, "Oh, we're called the grassheads." And he looked around and he leaned over and he said, "No, fellas, you know we don't allow none of that around here."
You were in
I'm like, no,
trouble.
that's not us.
You're
We're
like-
just playing music.
Like the really nice sod
Yep.
heads.
Are you in a band presently, or do you just pick with a bunch of people?
No, I've got guys that are just troubadours that are real
Okay.
pros that play everywhere. They're always kind enough to invite me. But to grind it like that and to travel, and you got to pack gear, you got to travel. To me, I'd have to rehearse. Then you got to play the gig and you got to unpack the gear and you got to get home and you got to read. It's just a lot. I'm just too old for it. I'm just too old for that grind. But I do like the thrill of playing a little short set with my buddies and getting off the stage. And then my lack of talent doesn't get exposed because then I know
Leland.
I know the
Stop.
5 songs that I'm supposed to know and I can leave. But there's something about we call it getting locked in the pocket. When you're with a bunch of guys and the song just hits and everybody's looking around and it sounds good and everybody's doing the same thing, total strangers, and you're playing the same song. And there's almost a high in that you can't get from drugs or alcohol or stupid stuff.
Okay, I do have a question about that, and then we'll move on to like serious newsy stuff.
Why do that?
Well, we were watching, Jared and I watched like the randomest things, and it was it was Jack and Ozzy Osbourne and their little detour. If you remember, they did it like 10 years ago. I think he was just starting to get sick. But Ozzy walks into this little guitar shop and sits down with a guy he's never met.
Yeah.
And they started just like the song they came at. There's no music. There's no sheet. It's like, what is that a gift?
No,
or
you
do
just
you
play it from the heart. Yeah. I mean, if you know the key,
but it sounded good.
And you kind of know the song.
But this wasn't a song. They were just picking.
Oh, I don't know. That's just improv. People, that's how songs are written. I mean, you're just sitting around with a bunch of guys and someone got to starts a groove and then you put your thing on top of that. And next thing you know, the singer's making up lyrics. That's where some of the greatest songs in history have come from.
That's like just when God comes down and shines and says, you've got something.
I guess.
Well, there's no doubt that I think you are I have been in your new studio. There's about 1 million guitars. So when he says
really?
He can't play,
yeah,
you're
that's
a total poser or
I'm a poser.
You know
well,
what you're doing.
I'm a better
Leland.
collector than I am a.
Fair.
That was 8 years and not having a wife who told me I couldn't buy guitars. So I still have
What's your favorite guitar?
Lately, it's a new Stratocaster I just picked up.
Okay.
But I've gotten into mandolin and it's very difficult and it's a challenge. And I'm getting better. I spent 2 hours on it yesterday because the older you get, I'm not into power. I can't do power rock anymore. I'm not going to play on big stages.
Ears, like you can't.
Yes, it's too loud.
Turn it
Get off my lawn.
What's funny is I did get it cranked all my electric stuff up and played an Ozzy song yesterday just for fun because it hasn't done it in a while. But the melodic, slower, rootsy kind of stuff. There's some amazing Billy Strings and other talented people out there. They're Punch Brothers, which y'all see out west. And they're here Wednesday in Birmingham in Avondale. They're just, it's amazing music. And it's with bluegrass instruments, but it's very jazzy and bluesy and just heartfelt. And so some of the best music coming out right now is just done with those acoustic
Leland
instruments.
Whaley has a heart.
What?
He does. What?
He says heartfelt.
Been
and
exposed.
It's crazy. It's like he's slowing down.
Oh gosh.
Got rid of the man bun.
Well, earlier today, I was chasing a poop truck through the woods.
I thought you
That's
said
why I was almost late.
A pooch.
No, a poop, like the big septic tank trucks.
Why?
Well, they were supposed to be at the house. We're doing some construction, as you know.
Yeah.
And the first thing you got to do is get the tanks checked, and hadn't done it in a while. So said we ordered them to come
like
to the
a
house.
runaway poop
So
truck.
I'm out waiting on this guy so I can get him settled and show him where everything is, and then get in the shower and get here. And he's late. He gets there an hour and a half late. And I hear the truck going into the neighborhood next door, kind of down behind me.
Oh dear.
Toward kind of where you live.
Yeah.
And I hear the truck, and then I see the truck half a mile away going down the wrong street. And I'm like, I got to get this guy going because I wasn't going to make y'all show if he didn't get started.
Oh, we would have been upset.
So I just took off running through the poison oak and the briars with my shorts. And I ran all the way down and found the guy, scared him to death, turned him around, told him how to get back to my house. Whole nother neighborhood now. And then I had to make my way back through the woods and then realize I had both of my earbuds that were in had fallen out somewhere.
Oh no.
So I spent 30 minutes walking around and they're gone. But truth is, the things life does to you. I just chased a poop truck through briars.
It was
that's
but I made it.
important.
Hey,
We appreciate your dedication to the show.
that could be an ad for Chris. A poop
True.
truck.
Yeah.
You know?
We could
I
talk
mean,
about
that's
it.
funny. That's
I'll endorse it.
okay. I mean, that's
The guy was
hysterical.
good, man. He came and knocked it out.
Why didn't
That's
you just get in
impressive.
the truck with the poop truck instead of going back through the woods?
Because
Has
it's a
that been
poop truck.
awkward?
That's harder. Like it. Ugh.
But then again, I used
Bless
to
it.
work with politicians, so we both got experience, if you know what I'm saying.
That's good. Which is a perfect pivot point.
It
you know,
is.
like pivot. So let's do that. Let's pivot to the poop of Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Deal. How
How about
Scene
that?
of
about
the
that?
crime.
Catch me outside. How about that? Okay, so the big deal, everybody knows, and we're going to make this fun, is fun with maps. Fun with maps. Like,
You
know,
said map wars. She says fun with maps.
Well,
maps
you-
for dummies. I don't know.
We used to call it reapportionment when I was working with them down there. That's such a dead word. And then it was redistricting, which is impossible to say.
Everybody leaves out the second T.
Now it's just map wars.
Map wars.
So here we go. I mean, the session's in today, and the debate is, will the Republicans draw a 7-0 Republican map or a 6-1 Republican map?
What are the odds?
Well, I don't know. I've heard some inside poop that They may see that kind of day. But they may pull a switcheroo, not to give away any strategy, but start with one map and then find the votes to pass the other map in the other chamber and then reconcile it and go with 7. The bottom line is the way we should be discussing this stuff, in my opinion. And this is everybody, the court told us to leave race out of it. Right. In fact, the Voting Rights Act doesn't guarantee anybody racial outcomes on a district. It just guarantees the right to vote. It says the government can't discriminate against your right to show up and have your say. It doesn't guarantee your right to a representative district of your race or your gender. Nowadays, we're throwing all kinds of identities. There's no guarantee. Do we have a lesbian district or an Asian district? Do we have, come on, man.
That's what I just said yesterday. Where does this end?
And it doesn't. The Democrats are smart, and they've spent 2 decades using the reverse argument with the same discrimination. In fact, gerrymandered racial districts are nothing but segregation. They are segregation. You're segregating us by color and creating one set of rules for one race and one set for another. And the Voting Rights Act never guaranteed that. Court precedents and interpretations gave a tool to the Democrats, Eric Holder and Obama and his team, this Mark Elias, and they went around suing states, particularly in the South, to have districts redrawn, and Alabama just went through that based on a premise that race has to be considered first, which is 100% a violation with the rest of the actual Constitution. The Voting Rights Act is an act. Constitution's a constitution. Constitution says equal protection under the law. You can't use race. You've got to use geographies. You don't want to split up economic communities. I was making this argument for days on the show before I was yelling at Governor Ivey to wake up, get out of nap time, call the session. She got some terrible legal advice and punting.
Yes, she did.
Initially punting. She should have at least said, I think she should have put a statement out and said, look, we're going to take a look at this. We've run to this other case, but let's have our lawyers look at it, because it would seem that there's no way that other case holds anymore after this ruling. Right. Neither does Terry Sewell's district, by the way, which has always been a racially gerrymandered district. They'll stretch it into Birmingham, stretch it into Montgomery, all through the Black Belt, wherever they can go. And so if it holds that the new 2nd district is covered by this landmark precedent, well, then it has to be Terry Sewell's district too. So the way to argue it again is because they've told us we've got to be race neutral and draw districts that are contiguous, that surround communities. For example, if you go to Dothan, they've got a whole different community than Mobile Baldwin. Mobile Baldwin's about the shipbuilding and the oyster beds and the coast. Over in Dothan, I mean, it's known for its agriculture and peanuts. And you go to Huntsville, and it's the tech and the research that drives the economy. In Birmingham, Birmingham is the center of it, but it's generally UAB and medical research and what we were into now. So you have different economies with different needs, different interests. And so you don't stretch those out and divide communities by race and break up those interests that are germane to a district. So what's funny to me is the left, I saw some jerkwad on AL.com today calling it the new gerrymandering. Well, look at the map that's right now that's under discussion. Gerrymandering, it refers to stretching the boundaries into weird contortions to achieve these racial outcomes. That's gerrymandering. Squaring them up into definable districts, that's not gerrymandering. That's reapportionment. My test on the radio has been, if I can describe it to you without a map, if I can tell you where the 2nd district is, Amy Beth, if I say, okay, it's the Wiregrass area in Dothan, you know where that district is. If I say, well, the 1st district has always generally been along the coast, but it's Mobile, Baldwin, and the counties in Southwest Alabama. Thank God you have a map right over your shoulder. But that's a contiguous community that has black, white, any race or identity. They're all tied to the economics of that area. They have more in common with those things than they do with racial things. And so just constitutionally, they gave clarity to it. They didn't gut the Voting Rights Act. They reaffirmed it in that it's supposed to be race neutral. It was designed to make up for discrimination. Discrimination was disgusting. Legalized discrimination people always are going to discriminate. You discriminate when you sort your laundry, when you're sorting things into categories, and people do that. It's a deciding tool. But for the law should have never done that. And we had laws right here in our state that did that to people, and it was wrong. But you can't make up for it with more discrimination. It just doesn't work. The best argument I think I've made in the last 2-3 days is if you had robberies going on one side of Main Street, it wouldn't be fair to allow robberies on the other side to make it even. You've got to enforce the law that says, no, we don't do robbery and we don't use race. A colorblind society is a just society. And honestly, I think it would improve politics for a lot of people. Republicans soon now have to pay attention to the black voters in their districts, whereas right now they can ignore them. The Democrats wound up with incumbents that all they had to do is stay black, and then they can ignore them, and they've been ignored. You can't argue to me that Sewell has done anything for that district. Anything, any economic progress has come from the Republican majority in Congress. And as worthless as they can be sometimes, we're in a bigger battle for the. I mean, let's be real. We're fighting socialism now. We're not fighting the Democrats. There's a socialist wave, and every unfairly drawn unconstitutional district in any state that's drawn helps that war. Forget, it's not about black and white. It's the survival of this country and the Constitution itself. If you've got unconstitutional districts that give votes to the other side to do us in with unchecked migration and the other dumb things they've come up with, that's the bigger battle. So the Republicans, I hope, will look at that big picture and go to war. Trump is popular with our base because he's a brawler. He fights. He's got blood on his knuckles, and he'll fight you. You can't make him stop fighting, and these people are afraid of that. So you do have a class of them down there like, well, we'll fix the second, but we're not going to mess with Terry Sewell. That could cause trouble. They're afraid of, they're being intimidated by the threat of, I guess, protest or violence or people showing off on the Senate floor. There's no way to run a country or a state. You've got to do what's constitutional. What's constitutional is go back and look at these districts and draw them in a way that makes sense. That's it. There's my speech. I'm done now.
Cheers to that. But I do have a question
Wait a
about.
minute. Do y'all have breaks and stuff?
Terry,
Should I quit?
Yeah,
talking?
well,
No, we'll have a break.
4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying not to
Then
run
we
you
can
over.
get you more
No, you're
coffee.
good. You're
Yep,
good.
thank you.
You go first.
I do want to know why, and I've heard it. I've heard people say it. Republicans, well, we don't want to mess with Terry Sewell. Like they are so averse to messing with her. Is it because the only thing I can think of, like Republicans historically are not good at winning when they have
At all.
the chance to win. So I get that. But is it because they're afraid they'll get somebody worse? But in this case, you can't. Why are we even talking about a 6-1 map? Why?
Because the system protects itself. And the system is not partisan. Incumbents protect each other. They protect each other on legislation. I stood there. Amy Beth's probably heard this story, but I've stood in the halls of the Senate when I was a little flunky working for all these groups down
This
there.
is in
And-
Montgomery.
Yeah. I worked for Congress and I worked there years and years ago. And I actually heard the following conversation. I forget the two senators, but this white Republican senator had brought up a bill that was going to enrage the black Democrat senator's district. And they were both hamming it up by how they'll get both of them reelected, and the bill wasn't going anywhere. So one gets to raise it, and I forgot what it was about. It may have had something to do with the gambling issue, but they were slapping each other on the back. And to me, I took a snapshot in my mind because I was still ideological enough to believe, we could fix things. And I'm down there watching this Republican laugh because he's introduced a bill that they're going to love back in Mountain Brook. But it's going to fail, but he can still take credit for trying.
Yes.
And then the Democrat gets credit for killing it back in the black district, and nothing changes. They feed off each other. It's professional wrestling. What drew professional wrestling is you got to have the good wrestler and the mean guy. You got to have the foil. You got to have Batman and the Joker. They do that all the time, except in Washington, it's professional wrestling. And Montgomery's backyard wrestling. It's like it's a bunch of good old boys get together.
It's grab the chair on the dock and beat each other up with it.
Like the
Yeah,
riverboat
that's
It's
brawl.
the folding chair.
It's a
Like
script.
that's what that is. And it's so hard for people to understand that. They don't believe it.
Look, there are earnest people that go and try, and generally they'll wash out of the system. Amy Beth and I both bounce, and you've in the ways with some of the activism you've done, you sort of bounce off it at some point, and you don't give up, but you find another way to.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the critic role at this point, because seeing it from the inside, I realize it's not repairable. The human heart is what it is, and collectively we keep doing the same dumb things. And those guys down there, even the sincere ones, will eventually go back to their lives unless they find that they can enrich their ego or their wallet by staying in. And that's why you have Jabbo Wagner there till he's 95.
I don't have my earbuds in. Is the music playing?
The music's not playing yet, but
What kind of music we got going, ladies?
It's not
music that you would like.
Oh, okay.
This is actually
But-
Interstate Love
I should have
Song,
brought my
by the way.
man.
It's
Yeah.
Interstate Love Song. That's
Yeah.
pretty
We
good.
played that in one of our bands. Yes, we did.
So we have more questions when we come back.
Yeah, I'm really curious on that thread. Like, what do we do? Because you've been in the governor's office, you've worked in campaigns, you've been in DC. If nothing changes, how do we change it? Okay, that's what we'll tackle when we come back.
I'll hold my thought.
Except that what's happened is, and I can show you, and we should put this graph when we get to that point. I can show you your own roles over time, and I can show you that what happened is, in this graph, this is from 1980 to 2024. You had 3 million people of voting age in 1980, and it just kind of steadily climbed in your state, and now you're up to around 4 million people of voting age. See that? That's your voting age people. Here are the number of people in your rolls every 2 years, according to your Secretary of State. And a clean voter rolls should be about 70% of your voting age population. So I would say you were really clean from about 1992 up to about 2012. But then look what happened. Then your voter rolls took off. How come? Well, that's when your state started automatically adding people who get driver's license, who get a car registration, who touch any government agency, who go to jail, who get welfare. They're automatically adding people, and they're not cleaning in a commensurate fashion, so the rolls are getting dirtier. I can talk about the turnouts, but let's not do that yet. I just want you to see that the voter rolls are growing faster than your population, dramatically faster. In fact, you got about 40% too many people in your voter rolls. So what'll happen is I'll show this to people, and they're like, what? How could we have so many names in the rolls that shouldn't be there? So what then I do is I give them a copy of their own voter rolls. They start going through them, and I always tell people, look in your own neighborhood. So we look up, it's like I'll be standing in front of a group, and I'll say, give me an address. Give me an address. And we look you up, and they'll say, wait a minute, that's my next door neighbor. Their boy hasn't lived here for 10 years. How come he's still an active voter in the rolls? In other words, the rolls are really dirty. And when I show them to them themselves, they're shocked. They don't realize how dirty it is. Now, in states like Oregon or Washington or Colorado or California, where they mail a ballot to every person, that's immediately a problem because you're mailing huge amounts of ballots out to people who aren't there. It's ridiculous. Like I was just in a county in Colorado where they got back a fourth of the ballots undeliverable. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, you have equally dirty rolls, but since most of your voting here takes place in perp, and by the way, that's a kudos to Alabama. About 98% of you on average vote on election day in person. That's big. Step across the border into the panhandle. Say in Florida, 30% of their ballots are coming in by mail. They're lazy. Okay?
Yeah.
You guys show up on election day, and that's a big advantage. So to cheat here, you don't stuffing ballots is not as easy because people are voting in person.
Right.
So here, the way they cheat is they bus people in, they and then they can also mess with the tallies afterwards. So that's an example, for example, of how the clerks are so busy doing their election tasks that they don't realize what's happening in their roles.
Can
So-
I ask you one
Yeah,
question?
sure. Go ahead.
It looks like you're about to.
Oh,
hit
I'm
another
sorry. I can go
slide.
back to that if you want.
Well, no. Is that 42% more registered voters than the population increase? You know, statistically, they should be about even.
Yeah, they should.
You know,
track
or
each
should
other.
they?
Yeah,
they
if the
should-
population
it's-
goes up, the
right.
rolls should track.
Right. Is that fraud or is that laziness?
That is deliberate. So, what do I mean
Okay.
by deliberate? So, what's supposed to happen? There are two federal laws. One is NVRA, National Voter Registration Act, 1993, and another one, HAVA, Help America Vote Act, 2002. Both of those were grants from the federal government to the states. And the first one was more about the rolls. And the federal government said, we're going to give you money to maintain your rolls in a particular way. And all the states said, oh, great, we'll take it. What state doesn't take money? But they didn't comply with the other side, which is how to maintain the rolls. And I'll give you an example. Say, for example, that you miss 2 federal elections. They're supposed to mail you a postcard and see if you're still there. And if you're not there, they're supposed to make you inactive in the rolls. And then if you miss another one, they're supposed to take you out. Well, I can show you thousands and thousands of examples in your own county where we've tracked everybody in the rolls, and they've missed multiple elections and they've been active for a long time, yet they're still in the rolls. And when we look them up using the post office records, guess what we find? They've moved to Texas 10 years ago. How come they're still in the rolls? They shouldn't be there. So your state isn't cleaning up. And when you complain about it, they say, well, that's because, we've got this system in place. They have a deliberate system in place that keeps your rolls dirty. It's by choice.
Okay. And is that to, so in theory, so they have wiggle room if they need to?
Well said. Wiggle room. I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah.
I call it a credit line.
Okay. Same thing.
But wiggle room is a good one.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so uncomfortable to confront people over the wiggle room that we're not supposed to see.
Yes. And the clerks don't even know it's there. That's the thing. I meet clerks all the time, and they think they're in control because they're the one adding and moving people from the rolls. But then when I show them the actual list, since I have multiple snapshots, I can compare, and I can show who was added, and I can show who was removed. And they're like, what? They don't even realize the extent to this is happening. So that's really the core problem that we have right now, is that we've given away control of our elections to other people. And what did Stalin say? Stalin said,
back. You know what? I don't even think today, like one time I've said, you found the right side. I'm Amy Beth. She's Allison. He's JP. We're joined by Leland Whaley. Not in the club we all fam.
Well, when I do my rap album, y'all can do that.
Leland Whaley. And I'm having
don't rap.
flashback to the Cleveland hastily arranged tourism video.
Oh, that's one of the funniest things that's ever been on the internet.
Oh, it's really funny. Anyway, but enough of flashbacks.
Yes.
So as we tie a bow on the fun with maps.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a question for you.
What's that?
I saw a picture from way back in the day, and how is it that I was thinking about how long it's been since we were on the radio together?
Long time.
And Chris and I have both gotten gray, and you have not, and neither have you. Why are we? Why me and your husband? I saw Chris the other day. I was like, that guy looks like Chris. Wait a minute, that is Chris. We've grayed.
We can give you our number of our girls.
No, stop.
Listen, we're just trying to keep up, right?
I mean,
hey. He says, hey, back, I'm sure, because he's about to text back.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. So, you guys, it's not fair. Y'all look like good as you get older, and then the Lord decides to raisin us up, prune us up. And I'm like, not so fast. Not yet. I'm not ready for that yet. Until I get my glorified body, I'm not sure when the grays are going to be let out. And it's going to be, I know God says they're a crown, but not yet. On men, fabulous.
We aspire to be the wise old oak. See, I'm in grandfather mode now.
So is Chris.
So I just do it all the time. I just give out advice now. It's my thing.
Which you do
you
quite
be great
well.
To do that.
Yeah.
Chris needs the Leland tractor.
Yes.
Oh, he wants a tractor.
We'll tell him to come over and we'll have
badly.
Yeah. I've been destroying my woods and it's been wonderful.
You love it? What kind do you have?
In there. Oh, that's a long story. I'll talk to Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but
yeah, but I'm destroying. I got to clean out a bunch of undergrowth, and it's something I've been wanting to do for years. My whole summer is set.
You're speaking his main language right now.
Turn on the air conditioner, turn on the tunes, get in the woods.
Just tell him which kind to get, because this is his dream, is to have a tractor for. We've got some property in Chilton County, so
do this.
Okay. So as we tie a bow on what's going on in Montgomery, what do we need to know about what happens next? Or is there certain things we've got to pay attention to?
Well, it's a rigged, I say it's a rigged system. They will decide the maps behind the scenes. And today, whatever the first proposal is probably the final map, because they got 5 days. We're sort of up against this artificial deadline where I think the governor, what she should have done last week too, with the Secretary of State, or whoever has the authority, suspend the House election. So there's no clock running on them. Because you're going to have to draw new districts and requalify all the candidates. And so we got to do a start over. In Georgia, they're arguing that people have already started voting and they can't do it because they're too close to their deadline. Well, that's bunk because the districts are unconstitutional. You can't certify unconstitutional districts. So they have an obligation. It's not a right. It's not an ability. It's an obligation to rectify their districts with the Constitution. So do we. In that case, it's going to take a minute to get the new districts through it. If they do it quickly, it's 5 days, which means they can't be arguing over the boundaries and then introduce something that they're still going to argue over. They got to know what they want, shove it in, fight with the Democrats through the 5 days, and get it out the other side. And there may be two maps. There is a 6-1, there's a 7-0. That's how we're referring to them. And I'll be interested to see which one emerges today first. They'll tell you something. And I'm sure we'll see that before 4 o'clock. So I'll be on the air. Somebody will put the map out that's being proposed. And then, all the left wingers will get in a fetal position and they're going to protest no matter what the map.
Right.
But there is possibility there's a secondary map that could replace that in a conference committee, which is a trick they pull a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One house goes one way, one house goes the other way. That'll trigger a conference committee that limits debate because you only have an hour to debate on a conference bill. It's technical stuff. I was talking to a friend about that, and he was suggesting that. I think he's correct. So anyway, I want to see the map today. Bottom line is it's a 5-day process. If they go fast, like when they shove the gas tax down our throats and, let the power company take over the BSC and all the other stuff they do in a hurry, when they want to go, they can go. Now, special is a little different. The governor limits the call. And she's called it in such a way some people believe that lends itself to a 6-1 map because she's asked to revert to the 2023 map.
Right.
Which she should have left it open for the legislature to decide. That's our people, not her decision. And then we're still waiting on the court. The Supreme Court come out today and kill all this.
Right.
They could decide, no, the previous case there are other arguments in it that need to be resolved. We're not going to intercede. And then we're stuck with these 2 districts until such time as that's solved. But I can't imagine a court, if you got an 8th grade civics education, would allow a big landmark decision like this to go out and then allow arguments under the old way of thinking to continue through the courts. So the optimism is Supreme Court's going to say, everybody gets a do-over. And then it's going to be how aggressive the Republicans are. And they've been working on it. They've been working on these maps prior to the ruling the other day because I think they anticipated we better get some work done. So the truth is, behind the scenes, they've kind of got their script, and we'll see the opening act of that script this afternoon at 4 o'clock when they convene.
If the Supreme Court, which I'm guessing, surely they'll come out with something today. Surely we wouldn't be in a special session if we didn't think we were going to win that.
Right. You could argue that you could go ahead and move through the process
and then be ready
and then hold that, still waiting on that decision, and waste a lot of time and money if it winds up being moot. Remember, they had to go rebuild the Senate chamber because they were tearing it down. So they had to put up folding tables. There's a lot that's going on right now. But it's going to be a lot of suspense. But the minute the court rules and then we see that map, I think we'll know where it's heading. Because if the court gives them clearance, map comes out, the rest is just histrionics and a lot of poor civics from Democrats here in the state pretending that somehow they've lost rights. Not a single person will lose rights. Terry Sewell can run for whatever district they draw around here, she can run for Congress again. And every black voter in the state can vote. That's what the Voter Rights Act guarantees. You can't discriminate against people, but you can't discriminate for people. It's neutral. And so we hope they'll do that.
I just was reading something that Booker T. Washington wrote about that very issue, about this idea of equality is great, but you cannot force it. And that's what we're bumping up against. And so when I heard them this morning talk about, I'm losing rights. What rights? What are you losing?
Nobody's
You've lost
right.
nothing. And I dare the people who are, filming, recording all of these press conferences that are going to continue to happen. Somebody just ask them, what have you lost?
Yeah. Well, it's this idea that you have a right to have somebody of your community to represent your community, right? Well, that's segregation. That'd be like me wanting my own little white country boy with a tractor in a Mainland district. And I wanted somebody that looked just like me, that dressed bad. And nobody's guaranteed that kind of outcome. but we can all participate. There are a lot of people that live in Elizabeth Warren's state that she doesn't represent them. She's as white as they come, despite her claims of the past. Bernie Sanders, he's white. He didn't represent me. It's not race. It's policy ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to get Winsome Sears elected in Virginia, a Republican. Would have been the first black governor of a southern state. The Democrats rejected her. Went for this pasty-faced troll out of that's trying to run clean over the state in a bait and switch routine. So that's what this is a battle of ideas. I grew up in the Cold War and we thought we'd fight the commies somewhere over there. They're here. The wall fell and they all came here. And they're all throughout our politics now. And you've got a whole generation of undereducated, miseducated kids from about 35 and under. A lot of our kids fit in that category that just don't know history. They're unaware of why Iran is Iran. They don't know anything about. We're celebrating our 250th anniversary, and this experiment, which the founders believed wouldn't last. They hoped it would, but they knew it was rolling the dice, just letting people have their freedom and figure it out themselves. But over time, the deep state's collected so much power for itself, and the left are very good at controlling institutions and process. They don't care about ideas anymore. We're all on our shows talking about, why are they so crazy? Why are they picking 20 in the 80-20 issues? Because if you can rig the thing, who cares what you believe or say out loud? You control the election. If you can vote for a month and dump fake ballots into drop boxes and absentee votes, and you can draw your own districts to suit your composition in Congress, or pack millions of illegal people into your state and get credit in the census for congressional seats and electoral votes, you own the system. But here's the good news. And a little while ago during the break, you said, bring us some hope. All that's being dismantled. And I never thought I would see it. One by one, the court just overturned their use of race and gerrymandering. Trump has broken up USAID and the money funneling operation.
Forgot about that.
Act Blue is a foreign money laundering organization that has funded Democrat candidates all over this country in an illegal way by disintegrating funds and reintegrating funds. They've been caught. They're under investigation. The border's closed. We are net deporting 1,200 people a day rather than 5,000 a day coming across. The numbers right now are averaging about 1,200 a day leaving the country, and nobody's coming in. That's changing. That's changing that dynamic. If we can get a proper ruling on birthright citizenship, that changes chain migration. I don't know that we're going to get that ruling, though. I think while the court ruled here the right way, I'm not sure they're going to rule with the Trump administration on that. But it's good that it's being tested. So one by one, those systems that they built are coming unglued, and they're on the wrong side of the issues. The other thing is whether you can count those illegals in the census. So they're relying on yet another provision of the Constitution that dealt with former slaves at the time, and it wanted to guarantee their rights would not be discriminated against Southern states, and that's been, construed now to mean anybody that's standing on our soil to be counted in the census. But that's a powerful thing for states like California, which companies and people are fleeing, but they're replacing those populations with people from other nations and trying to get credit in the census. That's a system. That's a thing they built to attack the system and control the system. While we're over here, how many policy speeches have we been to eating raw rubber chicken about the value of the Constitution and all our principles? And we got to know that stuff, and our kids need to know that stuff. But these guys are gaming the system. It doesn't matter what we believe if they can control the outcomes. So it's about controlling outcomes. And that's what starts today at 4:00 in the Alabama legislature.
That's good.
If we don't have 7-0, I'm just going to.
I'm going to push. I don't care about people's sensitivities.
Can we shame everybody?
You cannot have the 7th district drawn the way it's drawn. It's drawn it's always been that way. And I don't know if you remember, Amy Beth, years ago, we had 4 Republicans running for Congress in the 7th district. And I told every one of them they didn't have a shot in hell, but they insisted they had a shot, and they wanted to come on the radio. So I had them all 4 on at the same time, let them debate each other. All 4 of them lost. They didn't have a shot over there. It's drawn against them.
Yeah.
And one of them is a good friend of mine now. It's just, you got to go back to a constitutional system. We either defend it or we don't. Today, a map, when I call what we call a 7-0 map, fairly drawn, would probably produce 7 Republicans. It's not guaranteed,
Right?
Because the districts get rebalanced. Gary Palmer has the benefit of having a packed Republican district. But if you go 7-0, he's going to have people in his district that weren't part of his constituency before, for example, and it's less Republican. But there's no purely drawn district for them to game the system. And that's a fair way to represent people. You know, what I have in common with people in Birmingham is we all live in Birmingham. It's not race. That's never worked. And by the way, for my friends in the Black community, it has never worked for them. None of this stuff has ever worked for them. I've said for years, and it borders on controversy for some people, but not people that listen to the show, because we've talked about this for years. And with honesty, I believe there are 2 groups that are completely taken for granted by their parties that claim to represent them. And that is the Black community being used as mascots and human shields for Democrat, particularly white liberal socialist ambitions, and never get real results from that party. And evangelical Christians on the other side, same thing. They will talk down to us, and everybody's got a flag and a Bible and a gun in their TV ad. But we get hosed. We get taken for granted. What are we going to do? Vote for Democrats? What are those Black people going to do? Vote for Republicans? Yeah. When that monopoly gets broken up, they have to pay attention to us. They just use us emotionally, get back in office, and then take us for granted because they can count on our votes. And then everybody's playing to the squishy people in the middle that aren't paying attention. No, pay us some attention. And so that's what we're asking for now. We want a 7-0 map, constitutionally drawn, and we want it to start today. That's it. I don't even need to do my show now.
I was going to say, we just put this on
that's
replay.
my whole opening.
It's a great word.
All day.
Yep.
Replay.
I think that is a phenomenal perspective that we haven't actually considered. You're going to have to pay attention to us. I will never forget that. That's great.
All right, then.
It's great. Okay. If we're exclamation point on that, if it's okay, you mentioned Iran. Could you help us frame that? Is it almost done? Should we be there? If we're there, like, get done with it. But we've talked endlessly about it. We would love your perspective on Iran.
Well, as of this morning, the actual war phase is over. The president's going to add under the War Powers Act, and he's got so many days without a declaration of war to move troops around and act in our interest. He wants to flip that script from an offensive game, because we've shot everything over there we can shoot that would be effective. So the blockade that we're doing is way more effective on producing the results we want, which would ultimately be a outing of that regime. Because when they run out of money to pay the IRGC and their troops, some of those people are going to take their uniforms off and fall out, and then we're choking them to death. First, we couldn't have gone in and done a blockade without doing the other action first. You had to take out their ability to hit us. So we did. We blinded them. We took out all their Chinese cheap equipment, bombed all their production capability, took out their missiles, and completely sealed in their nuclear program. So it would seem to me the remaining goals would be to get our hands on that nuclear material. No matter what their commitment to not reproduce, it's worthless. But you let the regime be toppled by their citizens, all that becomes moot then, because they're a different country and their nuclear ambitions change. So I think inside, that's what needs to happen. Now, today, Trump also announced, I forget the name of it, Project, some new name. So the new thing is,
Freedom?
I think it's like Defend Freedom or something.
Okay.
So we've announced we're going to start doing military escorts of the boats, which Reagan did in the 80s, through the Strait, to get all those boats that are blocked up, that have just been sitting there for 2 months. They're running out of food and fuel to keep sitting there. That floods the market with petroleum that's just sitting on these boats. And there's other cargo that moves through there too that's been afraid to move. We begin the escorts. We can do that now because we've swept for the mines. And then we've got to, if Iran takes a shot at us, it's not a continuation of the previous bombing campaign. We're now being defensive. We're defending commerce.
I see.
If we bust that open, we change the clock to Congress. We're no longer engaged in some offensive war.
Right.
And that's all we need to do is just unlock that. When it happens, I don't know. We're dealing with a fractured regime. We don't even know who's in charge or who has authority to negotiate. Those that are never been trustworthy since 1979. And I told y'all during the break, I've waited on this since I was 13 years old. My first awareness of the news and things going down was watching I'd go make a Sanka coffee. My mom would, she had decaffeinated Sanka coffee, and I was too young to drink coffee. But she said, "You can have that." I felt adult, so I put Sanka in a cup, stir it up, and turn on my little black and white TV in my room and watch Ted Koppel because I want to know why they took our people. And I've hated those people ever since. There's incredible, not the culture. The culture is amazing. It's an ancient, proud, educated, sophisticated culture. This is not Iraq. This is not Afghanistan. These people want to be part of the modern world, and they just need the freedom and the breathing room to take their government back. But it's like rooting out termites right now because they've faded into they had a mosaic plan if they were ever attacked to bust into little cells, and we're dealing with 26. We think it's 26 different regions that have autonomy and some amount of stuff and missiles and drones. So we're negotiating the end to that, but we're in the superior position. By the way, the Iranians did not get the oil shock they wanted. No, we don't like $5. I pay $5. I use diesel a lot, and I don't like paying $5 for diesel. That's a lot, yeah. But that's not a crisis. We're all in America. Everything's trauma and everything's a crisis. We got a whole generation of people that if they get their feelings hurt, suddenly it's trauma. That's not trauma. It's not a crisis. The World War II people would laugh at us. These people had to get gas every 4 days. They had to start walking to work so we could fight World War II. They ran around when they were walking, collecting rubber and metal and selling bonds, and the kids were out helping. Everybody back home was helping. Every guy that could signed up. That was a sacrifice.
Don't forget the food. Like they didn't have any.
Oh,
food.
they didn't have flour. You couldn't have sugar.
A big deal.
We went. There'd be people laying on therapist couches all over the country right now, smoking weed, talking about they're traumatized because they paid $20 more to fill up. We're just whiny, and we're like a bunch of kids in the backseat asking, "Are we there yet?" Give it a minute. It's been 2 months. We're talking about a generational change in a region that could change commerce and freedom for people. Tens of millions of people all over the world, not to mention it kneecaps the Chinese. They were benefiting from our sanctions because they were getting cheap oil from all the rogue nations. They were buying it from Venezuela and Iran. We just cut them off. So yeah, it's chess. It's not pin the tail on the donkey right now. So
the way you see it, are we, because there's part of me, stick with me, I'm like, well, they still apparently have nuclear material, which we thought they took out a year ago, and now we're having to escort through the strait when we weren't doing that before. So are we better off now? I think, and what's been frustrating for me is when this started, it was, the Iranian people are being, shot during protests and we're going to save them. I haven't heard talk about the people in a long time.
Well, they're hunkered down. What the regime has done is brought in these Arabic militias that they control out of Yemen, and they've got them all over the region. These are what we call their proxies, and they brought them in to patrol the streets and keep people from getting out of their houses. And that we know this because a lot of words leaking out from the Iranians are hearing these Arabic speaking patrols going up and down. They speak Persian. It's a completely different deal. And they can't even communicate with them. And they're afraid they'll be shot if they try to stage an uprising. And plus they need weapons. They need small arms. We'd hate to see a civil war, but the economic pressure right now could lead to eventually people have had enough. And that's why we also need to quit. If we try to bomb them into submission, we're going to punish those people too. They won't have the wherewithal to fight back and take their country back. We got to leave them something to fight with. So we're strangling off the rest of the power regime and hoping that comes to pass. While we haven't stated that regime change is a goal, our goal was to take out the nuclear program. As far as the nuclear material, when we hit Fordham, we hit a bomb production facility. But that wasn't their whole nuclear infrastructure. They had research scientists hidden. They had the material being spun up in one place, assembled on bombs in another place, research labs in different places. We had to hit many more. We got about 75% of it and just buried it. And they started trying to dig it back out. So we had to hit it again. And you'll have to keep whack-a-mole until we find it. We think it's buried in a mountain in a deep sort of a
Is that what they're
bunker.
telling you?
Yeah, it's called Pickaxe or Rattlesnake, or so it's got a name. It's got a funky little name, but we think we got eyes on it. We watch it 24/7. We're watching traffic. We think that's where it is, but it's going to take an international delegation to go dig it out. They've got to hand it over and dig it out. I think it's several hundred pounds of enriched uranium at 60%. So, yeah.
Okay. I know we're going to play Would You Rather in a minute.
Oh, Lord.
Quickly, why do you think some of the European countries who are generally our allies were so hesitant to help?
Because they've been invaded by huge Muslim populations, and the politics of the immigrants in their country, just like Minneapolis and places here in America are New York City, they're very sensitive to that. And, they have culturally and politically changed, especially in the cities in Europe, in a very shocking way. I first saw it in 1990. I was a little 23-year-old. Right out of college, did a little backpack thing in Europe. I'd never encountered mass groups of Muslims. And I saw two things. I saw abandoned churches. You can go to the graveyards over there and see graves from the 700s. We're so young as a country. And you've traveled, y'all both traveled over there. It's just amazing how old everything is. But churches that were 1,000 years old, abandoned, just empty buildings. So they've transitioned since then from dominant Christianity to sort of an agnosticism that allowed, in the nature abhors a vacuum, Islam moved right into that. And so not only by people moving in, the Christian organization especially in England, a country that's, allegedly has a king that's the, representative of God to their people, who just didn't do an Easter service. For the same reason.
Right.
He was afraid to be offensive. He just did a Muslim dinner celebration. I forget the name of it, but he refused to do an Easter message to the people, which had been done for centuries. So it's under change there.
So
and I think it's over. Yeah. You don't need in any population throughout history, you only need about 20 to 30% of the sensibilities of a population to change the whole population. And they have hit those numbers all over Europe and Germany and
Quickly
France.
approaching.
Yes. And so, these are politicians, and they've got to be responsive. Those are their constituents now, and they're afraid of a fight. And so Trump's forcing them though. And that's a good thing. Oh man, we got heavy.
Yeah. So serious.
Let's do something stupid.
Okay.
We only have 5
We'll do
minutes.
something stupid.
You lined up with stupid?
Okay, I got 5 would you rather questions.
Oh gosh.
All right.
Sweet.
Leland has to go first too.
We got political,
You can't
funny
cheat off of
funny
us.
and silly, deep and thought provoking, and then superpowers and fantasy. So we'll start with the political one first. Would you
Just
rather
warm up.
would you rather run for office with your best friend or run against your worst enemy?
Oh, easy. Against my worst enemy.
Enemy.
I like a
Wait.
fight.
Against,
Or do we just answer these out loud?
Yeah.
Against your best friend?
No. Run for office with your best friend or excuse me, I read it wrong. Would you rather have to run for office with your best friend or your worst enemy as your running mate? Ooh,
Oh,
that makes it
yeah.
worse.
that makes it worse.
As your running mate?
Okay. Yeah. Like, would you rather run a campaign and be on a campaign with your best friend or your worst enemy? That doesn't really make sense, except I do know that when you're moving, just listen, if your daughter's moving to college, don't let them room with their best friend.
What she said.
They then end
Yikes.
up your worst enemy.
I've also learned not to do business with my close friends.
Yeah.
Also,
can
what
only
he
lose
said.
You can only lose a friend.
Ooh.
I don't even know how to answer that then.
I don't. That's
Let's
hard.
do something like, would
Pass.
you rather
Here's
eat
a,
some lemon or
silly.
Here's
go silly.
a funny and silly one. Would you rather have a permanent itch on your elbow or a squeak in your shoe?
I would say squeak because you can use
Yeah.
that tactically against people you don't like. Just creep up on them. Yeah.
No,
Squeak.
everybody knows you're coming.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
I already have a pair of shoes that squeak,
Leland,
so it's
there's
fine.
no,
I'm not sneaking up on anybody.
No,
I don't want to itch
I
my
would just
elbow
like
permanently.
go to Walmart and walk around behind them the whole time they're trying to shop.
I'm
They're like,
I'm
could you
itching
please?
my
No,
elbow.
I'm just
No, squeaking your shoes.
shying over here.
Y'all are insane.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd itch
That means
forever.
anytime you were late anywhere, they would know you were coming.
Well, they already know you're not there.
I already know when Allison's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, next fun one.
Plus, you get a certain age, squeaking your shoe can also be well. I mean, I'm just saying.
What was that?
Would you
That was my
rather?
shoe.
Would you rather have a tiny elephant or a massive hamster?
Tiny elephant.
Tiny elephant.
Yeah, tiny elephant.
Where'd you get these?
Wait,
Google?
massive hamster. Okay, I won't ask.
Would you rather possess the power of flight or invisibility?
That's a hard one.
Oh, wow. I
Well,
thought
if
about
you have
this one,
squeaky
actually.
shoes, there's no being
That's
invisible.
true. Are they simultaneous?
Unless you say fly, you're a hypocrite.
I'm just standing here with my little elephant that you can't see, but you can hear me. You could really drive somebody crazy.
I
if
wanna
you were
be
both
invisible.
Invisible with a tiny elephant and squeaking at the same time. Yes.
Were we out in 50
Okay,
seconds?
I'll give you one more.
50 seconds.
Wait, yeah, okay.
Would you rather stop time or turn back time?
Good time. Then I'd be thinking of Cher all the time, and I'd want to just die. I'd turn back time.
Really?
I like where I am, but there's some stuff I'd like to go fix.
Yeah, I'd like to turn back time.
The Grays would stop if you would stop time.
I don't care about that. I do. I would like. There's a couple people I like to slap in high school. A couple people I personally never had a conversation with. Yeah.
I might.
What about
stop
Apple
time.
stock? Back in the day.
Yeah, it's
That'll
true.
be next time you come back. We'll play "What's Your Biggest Regret in Life."
Oh Lord, no! You're not talking
Oh boy, I got a list.
Y'all, we still, I feel like, have so much to cover, so we will have to have you back. But
Sure.
the Leland Whaley on the show today. Y'all have a great night. Make good choices and stay on the right side.